So now the new reports are that the reason behind the Tank Davis and Lamont Roach cancellation of the fight, starting from the venue, now it's because the PBC is secretly working on a huge deal from an unknown investor. The things that people come up with to defend their narrative is becoming insane. Watching the Blue Blood and KO boxing debate that they had yesterday, it was a long one. Blue Blood was on for like 4 hours, and they debated for a while. But going that to that, and then watching Fanon's live and his videos of them working on this insane. First off, Fanon is like, uh, if you guys watch his lives and you see his Twitter, it's interesting to say the least. It's very interesting. But to say that the reason behind the cancellation, we are going through so many revolving doors. It's just going in circles and circles, and it'll always lead to the same conclusion that PBC is having money issues. It's always going to come to that. What happened with the Amazon deal? How can a new there how does that work? The reason they're not making a Tank fight is because there's a huge guy that's gonna buy all of you buy UFC and all the boxing promotions. Like, what are we talking about here? We're in La La Land. There's no reports of that. There's no, and then and the infamous the sources, and it's like your sources your imagination. That's becoming people's sources now, their imagination. And it's all to defend Tank. And I think of it more about I'm more interested not in like Tank, but the PBC. I'm more interested in talking about the issue because it all trickles down from the PBC. Tank not fighting the fighters that we want him to fight. Um, this whole issue with the fight was supposed to be December 14th and now it's not. It all it all boils down to what's going on with the PBC behind the scenes. Is Al Heyman sick? Showbiz just made a video saying that Al Heyman is no longer with PBC, from the interview of Mike Tyson and Andre Ward. And Tyson's like, Al Heyman's not around anymore. And it's like, well, that's kind of a big deal, right? Um, but to say that there's an angel investor, which an unknown, a mysterious, and that it just sounds weird. It just sounds like you're making up these crazy. If you try to defend, yeah, it should be a simple explanation. Why wasn't the venue booked? Right? It should be a simple thing. If you have to come up with all these theories and you start creating scenarios in which, oh, it could have been someone didn't book it right. If you have to jump through those hoops, common sense would say you're lying or you are really trying too hard to find ways to defend your viewpoint, which is you're defending a narrative. There's issue. If the fight was supposed to happen December 14th, some people say there was issue with venues. Blue Blood was saying that Tank was, or not even Blue Blood. Also, Eddie Hearn did an interview in which a probable scenario is that Amazon or whoever's putting up money for this doesn't see Lamont Roach as it's not going to be a big fight. It's not going to make the money to validate why they would give him such a high guarantee. So it all comes to money. It all comes to either they don't believe this fight is going to sell, and which is probably not, to even beyond that, there's issues with the PBC. It's one of those two things. It comes to money. Comes to money. Why, if Amazon gave them this huge deal in which Tank says was bigger than Floyd, first, I don't think that was ever actually confirmed by anybody. It's all from Tank's tweets and what he was saying. And clearly he doesn't know what he's talking about because he posted that the fight was happening December 14th and now it's not. So where you have so many different people saying different things and it's all in the same entity of PBC. There's miscommunication going on. There are lies being told to people. There's a lot going on. It is not as simple as, oh, they're negotiating with the venue. It's like, what? What do you talk? When has that ever happened? When has that ever happened? Where they are not going to put a superstar on a card because they're trying to save a little bit of money by negotiating for the venue after they already put out the flyer. That just sounds stupid, don't it? This is common sense. So at least to me, that's common sense. And if somebody on the other side that thinks they really can have an issue with the venue, and somebody on their team didn't know what they were doing, or oh, it really is booked, but you called the help desk and they're not. It's like, what are we talking about? For years, we've been talking about money issues with the PBC. This is not new. So people try so hard to defend, and I have no dog in the race. I go by what's out there and what's common sense. People would think a lot clearer if they just use common sense, use different data points. Okay, here's the data points to my conclusion of its money. Well, first one is Tank posting that the fight is on. He posted that. Tank said that he got the Amazon deal. That's bigger than Floyd, right? Lamont Roach is going on interviews still. Till this day, he still believes that the fight is happening December 14th, right? Dan Raphael saying that the fight is not happening December 14th due to venue issues. That's like 4 different data points due to venue issues, right? The thing is, the fight's not happening. And other data points would be the history of the PBC, the fact that this has never happened before, the fact that a venue issue has never happened with the PBC before. Another data point of fans clearly showing their unhappiness with the fight. Nobody thinks Lamont Roach would win this fight. Nobody's going to bet money on Lamont Roach winning this fight. So it's all these things put together, and that makes me believe that's common sense, that the reason the fight is not happening is due to money issues. Now, when you're saying money issues, you don't have to be super specific, because it could be a lot of different things regarding money, but it's still a money issue. It all comes down to the money issue, right? I don't think the PBC wouldn't book the venue because they don't have the money to pay for it. It goes beyond the venue. The venue was never booked. So people are talking about the venue. The venue was never booked. It's not like the venue was booked and then they canceled it because of something. The venue was never booked. So using that data point, that's a data point. The venue was never booked. Okay? Using that data point, you could say there was never an intention for the fight to happen at that point. Because if there was an intention for the fight to happen, you can say, well, then the venue should have been booked. That's a very simple logic train. If they believed that the fight was going to happen and that they had all their ducks in a row, the venue would have been booked. The fact that the venue was never booked can lead us to believe that there's an issue with money. And it's that simple. It always comes down to money. But to hear that now the reason that it's not happening is because of some guy a billionaire that's gonna make a huge investment, like, come on, man. Ah, man, what are we talking about? That's all I got for you guys. Peace.